Hi, I'm Mark Tyrrell of Uncommon Knowledge, and welcome to No More No-Shows. 5 tips to stop therapy clients missing appointments. And the words therapy and business don't seem a good fit for each other sometimes. I've even had people say that therapists shouldn't charge for their services, as if food and shelter and clothing become suddenly optional or unnecessary once you've qualified as a therapist. But of course, the truth is that however much we want to focus on the human element of therapy, of one human being helping another, you, I, and everyone do need to make a living. And anything we can do to minimize missed appointments will, of course, help us to survive in the world. So it's no good just hoping clients will show up. We need to make it as likely as possible that your client is going to actually, if you like, keep their side of the bargain and actually give you a chance to help them. If we do that bit right, we may even help ensure they feel more fully committed to their therapy once it does start. But first, why do clients sometimes not show up? Some clients dread having to face their issues. Perhaps they have an image of therapy as inevitably being a painful, long and drawn out process. They may have got their ideas about what modern therapy is like from TV or movies or whatever the people have said to them and so forth. This is why website literature needs to be as friendly and reassuring as possible. So people often feel scared of therapy, especially if they've never had it before. Some clients are kept away by price. They might think you charge too little and so conclude that what you offer can't be all that good if you're charging less than other therapists. Or they might think you charge too much and conclude that this kind of help can't possibly be worth that much. Alternatively, they may find nothing wrong with your charges, but they just can't afford it. Some clients may feel that your therapy promises too much, that it's too good to be true, and they can't possibly really hope to be rid of their panic attacks or phobia or depression or addiction or whatever it might be. Some smokers have looked quite terrified at the prospect of losing part of their identity, while at the same time knowing they need to quit smoking. Managing expectations is a vital marketing skill as well as a vital therapy skill. Sometimes your clients will have the courtesy or courage to let you know they won't be coming. Sometimes they just won't show up at all. Either way, here are 5 things I found really useful to maximize the chances that your client will actually keep their appointment. Tip 1, speak to your client before the session. And that kind of sounds obvious, but if you have actual personal contact, not just email or online or through a third person, then you have more of a connection to your client already. If a partner, friend or mother or any other person makes the appointment for the client, then ask whether you can actually speak to the prospective client directly, even just for a couple of minutes. If they're unwilling to speak to you at that point, it could indicate they might drag their heels to the point that therapy grinds to a halt before it's even begun. But of course we can do a lot more. So tip 2, show understanding of their situation and experience to build rapport with them even before they come along. So feeling understood is an important human need, of course. And think how you feel when someone really seems to understand your ongoing feelings or situation. You feel really seen and heard and understood and appreciated. When you speak to your prospective client on the phone, take the opportunity to ask them some questions that will both give you valuable information and also demonstrate that you have a deep understanding of their plight. By this, I most certainly don't mean we should try to impress our clients with intimidating psycho-jargon to try to sound like the big expert. However, taking the example of depression, we know that depressed people wake up exhausted because they dream too much. And we can use this piece of knowledge to help clients both understand what's happening to them and let them know that we understand the pattern of depression as well. So that can give them hope and also a sense of illumination, that they can see their situation from the outside for a moment. So simply asking your prospective depressed client, for example, if they find mornings really difficult, or perhaps the most difficult part of the day, feeling like lead, finding it hard to get out of bed, totally unmotivated, can help them feel like you really know what's going on for them. And indeed, often mornings are the worst time of day for depressed people, and they may feel a little bit better as the day progresses. You could even briefly explain the exhausting overdreaming connection, which is like a light bulb going off for many people. Most depressed clients will feel fundamentally understood when you say something like this. Or if someone's experiencing post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, you might ask things you know to be true for most people with PTSD, such as, do you sometimes find that some situations make you feel like you're re-experiencing what happened to you, even though those situations only faintly resemble the actual incident that was traumatic? Or if you learn that they're having flashbacks, you might say, when you get flashbacks, is it like actually being back there again, like you've regressed back into the original situation? More like reliving the experience rather than just recalling a memory. Or given that we know that traumatic memories don't fade the way normal memories do, we might ask the client, does the memory of that trauma feel like it could have happened only yesterday, even though it was perhaps many years ago? Your new client may have the need to talk on the call, so don't do all the talking as well, of course. But when you do talk, that's a time to show real understanding of these psychological conditions. And we can do that by asking them questions. Do they have that? And if they say yes, they feel understood. So that can help build initial rapport, but of course we need to reassure and offer hope as well. So tip number 3, open loops to raise their motivation to see you. To use a marketing term, hope, or any kind of expectation, opens a loop that a person feels the need to complete by coming to see you. So in addition to demonstrating your understanding and empathy, you need to open loops that they feel will only be closed by actually coming to see you for real. So writers open loops by starting a tale, setting an expectation, and making it compelling that you fulfill that expectation and find out how the tale ends. There might be lots of mini little loops in a novel or a film, and you want to know what happens next and how it ends, how it's completed. Expectation is powerful, and some kind of positive expectation, however unconscious, is vital. When a client makes it into your therapy room, use the presupposition, what improvements have you noticed since we spoke on the phone? And you'll be amazed by how many clients will tell you that they've already noticed improvements in their life, even after just talking to you on the phone before they even came in for therapy. Even if that improvement is just feeling a little bit more hopeful that they can be helped. So that improvement should be used in therapy, and it's a sort of springboard for the rest of therapy, or for the beginning of therapy at least. So when talking with a prospective client about the exhaustion of depression, you might open a loop by saying, as you start to feel better, one of the first changes you'll notice will be that you sleep more soundly and wake up again feeling hopeful and more energized. You've given them hope, and they'll want to see that hope realized. Or for a client with PTSD, once we've dealt with that trauma, so the memory no longer bothers you, what you'll notice is that it starts to feel like any other memory now, and it won't feel bad to think about anymore, even though you'll still know it was bad at the time. Nightmares will stop, and you'll feel so much calmer for so much more of the time. So we're telling them what to expect from our therapy. Open loops that they'll need to complete by coming to see you for help. But don't overwhelm them with bureaucracy. So we don't want to be a petty official with our clients. When clients come for therapy, they're often at a crisis point, desperate, hoping against hope you can help them. They may even be suicidal. And it's a crying shame when the first contact with a supposedly kind and caring therapist feels more like battling your way in some kind of soulless, Kafkaesque bureaucratic institution. Requiring lots of form filling and information gathering in the first instance can be really off-putting for new clients, especially if they're depressed or anxious and are primarily in need of reassurance. I like to find out about my clients the old-fashioned and human way by having a conversation with them. If you have to get them filling out forms, do it after the human bit of actually getting to know them. And lastly, be friendly. And I know that you're a lovable, affable, kind and smiley, agreeable, sympathetic person, but oftentimes when we're being professional, we forget that part of being professional is also being who you are. Professionalism should never mean humorlessness. One client told me that she'd phoned 10 other therapists before deciding to come and see me, and I asked her in some confusion why she'd chosen me of all those other people that she'd spoken to on the phone. And she said I was the only one who sounded relaxed and friendly on the phone. And that sort of amazed me. I'm thinking, really? Sort of 10 other people didn't sound relaxed and friendly? You know, what were they doing? In what way were they putting her off? And I had to wonder what on earth they sounded like when they initially spoke to her. And just as some final thoughts, of course, some therapists choose to charge clients in advance or require a deposit, and that can work too in actually getting them along to see you in a sort of I've paid for this, so I'm going to get what I paid for kind of a way. You might also require people to pay for missed appointments, although chasing money can be tough, as we all know. And of course, the tried and tested text before an appointment is worth considering as well. If your client is comfortable with that, using their name in the text is a good idea. So just reminding them that they have an appointment today at 2 o'clock and you're looking forward to meeting them. But sometimes no-shows will still show, just at a later time. I had one of these quite recently and she didn't call, text or email. And I emailed her saying I was sorry she couldn't make the appointment, that it was no problem and that my door was always open to her if she wanted to come and see me in the future. But I wanted to let her know that I was aware she hadn't showed up. A few weeks later she emailed me with no mention of her previous no-show and then became a reliable client. Bizarre as it sounds, sometimes not showing up may be an irritating ritual that some clients seem to need to go through. Maybe a kind of unconscious test of the therapist, but regardless, a first step towards a journey of better mental health. Sometimes the client may be just exerting a sense of control over the situation, or to feel empowered in some way, or they may have just forgotten. So, I hope you found that useful, and if you did, please hit like and subscribe. And if you want to hear when my next video is published, hit the notification bell below. I'm Tyrrell of Uncommon Knowledge, and if you'd like to subscribe to my email newsletter, you can find it over at unk.com/blog. That's unk.com/blog. And thanks for watching.